Dear drinkers, what stereotypically cheap piss water beer do you actually think is decent and drinkable for the price? Rainier and Old German are my two favorite beers. I play DD with two beer snobs and a brewer. They bring over expensive beers every week since I'm the DM, and it is pearls before swine. I drink it because it is free. But I would be happier with Rainier and they could just save their dough. But instead of that we do this dance. Yeah, that's really good. Thanks. But they know. You know, I should be grateful. But also, it is a bit like getting me a bowling ball with the name Homer on it. If you know what I mean, I dunno. Maybe it is time for ATPK. Put them all in their place. Corona Extra. Is it like my favorite Bavarian Weizen, Schneider Weiss Tap 7, or like a Tegernseer Helles? No, but does it have to? For me it represents the Mexican way of beer. I could never drink a Weizen in the Mexican summer heat. It needs to be light and brewed with corn and rice. It gives it a Mexican touch after all. Also, Tsingtao Asahi. Same as Corona, why I like it. Of course it will taste like water if you drink it after a Bavarian unfiltered beer with 5.5 volume. Alk. But it's perfect along with Chinese or Japan's food. My favorite cheap lager is Old Milwaukee, which suddenly disappeared from stores near me 5 or 6 years ago. Nice and smooth. No shitty aftertaste. Second favorite is Narragansett, which is slightly sweeter. Third is PBR, which has an aftertaste I don't love, but is cheaper. Bud Light, which people love to bash, is fine. It has no taste to be offensive, barely even tastes like beer. But 4.2 just ain't enough, I spend too much time peeing. Bud Heavy tastes better but is like $11 for a 6-pack. And sorry, it just isn't that good. One time I got pretty tanked and decided to try Milwaukee's Best. I thought it was delicious. So later that week I bought like 4 tall cans and was looking forward to pounding them. First sip I took almost made me gag. Tried to do it again and it just wasn't happening. Definitely is one of those beers you have to be pretty loaded already and have 0 options left. The correct answer for this question is Miller High Life. I'll argue the question and say the issue isn't cheap versus expensive. It's dark versus light. All American piss water beers I know of are light. Most of them are a decent option for when you would otherwise have water, like while doing yard work, kayaking, etc. If I'm actually wanting to enjoy the flavor, I get something you can't see through, preferably a nut brown ale. Modelo might not count as cheap, but the Australians and Europeans I've worked with trend towards that when they are in the States. In college we bought a lot of Full Sail brewing session stubbies, and extra gold cause makes it. If Sam Adams counts these days then definitely that, but that has to be cheating. It all doesn't matter to me. I've brewed some gold medal brews in competitions and brewed a lot of shit along the way. You can sit next to me at a bar and have a natty light, I won't give a shit. As long as you're fun to talk to and cool. The seat next to me is yours. Drink a screwdriver for all I care. Huh? A casino that hosts our end-of-season dart tournament offers natural light tall boys for $2.50. Am I a fan of Natty Light? Let's just say it got me there enough times in college. But when it's $2.50 for a tall boy at the casino, I don't pass it up. For reference, a Bud Light bottle at this casino is $4. Learn to brew your own beer. Home brew 5 gallons at a time for the price of a case of beer. If you are interested, look up Papazian, the Complete Joy of Home Brewing book. The downside. You start to enjoy more beers and even appreciate the cheap water beers for what they are. Straight up. Fully leaded. American Budweiser. Have had Germans beg me to buy this for them. Then again, my observation is that the best beer in the world is the one that's hard to get. And the worst is the one that's readily at. So many people think we crave novelty. New England lager. Artier than all the light nonsense and barely any higher content. but a decent flavor and aftertaste than the rest. You can do the Pilsner, but it's about all the same as above except it's also spectacularly pissy flavored and just not as good as the lager. I will die by Busch Light. I got called a redneck in college for drinking it all the time. But it's cheaper and tastes better than any other shitty mass-produced beers. On the more expensive end, Michelob Ultra is easily the best tasting, but it's more expensive. Natty Light was my beer pong choice back in the day. Couldn't beat the price last I was buying it. And like most of these light beers, it's fine if cold. I still like PBO alright. And by New England Heineken Stella quite a bit still, although they aren't cheap. Miller High Life. Coors Banquet, BBR. A stereotypically piss water beer. Blue Moon is a macro and is always my first recommendation for someone who is interested in beer, but doesn't want anything bitter or offensive for their first time. Basically all American domestics, Europeans trash them, because they don't understand what it's like to crack a cooler of Miller Lights on a hot Ohio day, drink 14 of them, catch a couple base, and still have room for 5 Hebrew nationals. Modelo Especial and Michelob Ultra are my go-to for cheap beer. Modelo I usually go for at a bar if their selection isn't great, and Michelob is my pick for a post-yard work drink or long drinking sessions at a friend's house. The less flavor the better Mich Ultra. Or we just got New England out here, and their fight beer is very similar and delicious. Well, not delicious, but they don't taste like much, and the little you can taste is pretty good. Honestly, I've only had a couple of beers that I've said I'd never touch again. One being a Lambic brewed cherry beer, and the other being some Milwaukee beer I found in Taiwan, and it was the foulest shit I've ever drunk. Coors Banquet, New England if you're in a part of the country that has it, and if you get can rather than green bottles since that runs the risk of Skunktown. Pacifico if you want a Mexican beer in that same camp. Hackett Shaw Munich Gold, cheap $2.75 for a tall can. Brewed in accordance with the Bavarian purity law, only uses water, barley malt and hops. 5.5. Tastes pretty damn good IMO. My go-to beer. This may be more of a regional thing, but I unabashedly love Genesee Cream Ale. It's like $5 for a 6-pack, but it's pretty decent, at least to me, and a lot of people's grandparents. I'm into IPAs, but I'll say Coors Original and Rainier are both drinkable for a few bucks less. Played a golf tournament sponsored by Michelob Ultra and it was pleasantly good. Surprised I haven't seen Natural Light on here yet. I'm not sure what it's up to now. And not too long ago you could get a 15-pack for like $11, and I didn't mind the taste. As a Mexican, Corona and Sol are utter trash. If you want cheap and decent, there are a lot of options such as Indio, Pacifico, Modelo, or Bohemia on the slightly high end. Miller High Life, my buddies and I started buying it because we were sick of our mooch friends showing up with nothing and drinking all the expensive beer. Perlenbacher from Lidl in the UK. I have no idea why, but it's really tasty. I'm normally an ale drinker, but I'm more than happy to drink that stuff. Coors Banquet in the glass bottle. I drink more expensive beer most of the time, but still can't resist the 18-pack of Squatties every now and then. As a Minnesotan, Grain Belt Premium is our local cheap beer. I love it for fishing trips and yard work, and it beats the piss out of lining kugels. I'd give people consider these piss water, but I love an ice-cold Molson. Not that I've had one in years, but I can taste it just thinking about it. Mickey's is pretty decent for $8. Ham's is good too, but it tends to be a tad up there in price. A case is running about $21 last time I checked. Basically any cheap Asian lager. Tsingtao, Bintang, Singer, Kingfisher not winning on the complex flavor front but dang near refreshing. I guess the Europeans are asleep. But here in Portugal, 2 euros pints of Superbock or Sagres always hit the spot. I'm a fan of Carlsberg as well. Coors ... I single quotes LL die on the hill. 'cause its carbonation is higher than all the cheaper brands, which covers and makes up for any flatness and flavor. Bud Light is my choice for an all-day lawnmower beer. Higher end but still in the piss water genre. I'd go Jungling, Sam Adams or Killian's. If you want cheap but decent beer, the cheapest German beers are at least clean and don't have all the unnecessary additives others do. TBR, $6 for a 16-ounce six-pack. It's annoying that everybody started drinking it though. Still like 1.50, 1.60 for one 24-ounce tall boy. I'm old and don't drink much at all anymore. But back in the day when I was young and poor, any cheap beer was better than no beer. Apparently everyone hates PBR. I love it. It is not considered trashy here in Sweden. Just another imported beer. PBR is my fave. Keystone Light is the cheapest I think and actually doesn't have any taste at all, so I prefer it to the other shitty light beers. Michelob Golden Light is one I miss from Minnesota. Never found it anywhere else. Always try to grab some when I go visit family. I'm a grown man who can afford whatever I like. Still sometimes a Hurricane 40 or a pack of Mickey's grenades just hits the spot. Coors Light in the bottle. Cold AF out of an icy cooler on a hot day after doing some kind of physical labor or activity. Coors Banquet for me. It might be just another lawnmower beer, but I'd buy it 10 times out of 10 over Bud, Labatt's, Molson, etc. Can't believe no one drinks Natural Light or Natty Light or Fratty Light. So delicious, and you get 15 of them for $12.